I've written a lot of songs in the past 5 years, and I almost always start with writing lyrics. Lyrics are the first thing that I notice about music that I like. And a good lyric is often the deciding factor as to whether or not I revisit a song or whether I save it to a playlist. In the last couple of years, I've experimented with writing chords first, or starting with drum beats in my songs. Well, I think that's been overall a really great thing for my music. I'm in a phase where I'm circling back to focusing on lyrics again. And I've been thinking and writing and making notes about my philosophy around lyrics and about how I write lyrics that I want to share with you. I'm going to be breaking this process down into 2 phases. I'm going to call them collecting and crafting. The collecting phase is about grabbing ideas when they come to you, grabbing details from the world around you, and analyzing things that you really like. Maybe even stealing them. And the crafting phase is about putting all of these pieces together.
I feel like I'm channeling ideas from somewhere else, 100%.
I find it really hard to sit down and brainstorm and decide, okay, so for 15 minutes, I'm going to have a bunch of great ideas. I'm going to collect ideas for the themes of the song. I'm just gonna sit there and just turn it on and generate ideas. That's pretty hard for me without having a bank of ideas that I've already grabbed from my life, from things that I like. So what I have to do is be open to ideas and details all the time and write them down whenever they come. Generally, I use my phone for this. It's always there. Usually notes apps, sometimes voice memos. For a while, I was using a flip phone, and it's not really great for writing things down. So I would use little notebooks like this. And I think sometimes it's nice to have both. Sometimes it's nice to have something on paper and have the phone, especially because sometimes when you want to write something down, you don't want to be distracted by all of the messages that are on the phone, or maybe you just don't want to be rude. A lot of times when I'm in a class or a seminar, I will not pull up my phone to write down a lyric idea, but I'll write it down on paper, and it kind of gives the illusion that you're taking notes. A notebook is also really nice because it's easier to draw. I don't know what I was drawing here. It's also really easy to write down chord progressions, make little diagrams like that. Can you see? Whereas that can be hard on a phone. Those actually are my notes from musicianship class. Yeah, so what I do is I have a lyrics folder in my notes app, and whenever I get an idea, I write it down in there. Getting an idea kind of means a lot of things to me. One of the things I mean by that is just experiencing a strong emotion in a specific place and the relation between those things, which is sort of implicit. I'm gonna pull up something that I thought of on the bus. So I was eating an apple on the bus, and I had sunscreen on my face. I just like sprayed it. And the apple acid plus the sunscreen on my lips just created like a very specific feel. Like being on the bus, looking out the window. I remember I was smiling. That's also a nice example because it's a very sensory thing, and I think just adding sensory details is always great for imagery. It's always good for specifics. So that's something that I might turn into a line at some point. And I probably have like a couple, okay, well, on that one day, that was on the 11th of January, I wrote that down, I have 4 notes. And some things, they sound more like lyrics already, and some things just seem like a 1-sentence journal entry. It's hard to know what is important and feels like it could be a lyric. That sense of knowing comes from refining your own taste in terms of the music that you like and the lyrics that you like, and really focusing on what you like, listening to a lot of stuff, reading a lot. This is from the Slaughter Beach Dog Reddit AMA. Just, like reading a lot of poems, reading Substack articles, watching YouTube video essays, watching Twilight. It all just sits like a big soup in the subconscious. And then when I'm creating things, I feel like I'm just ladling out the soup. And it's just the mishmash of all of the things that I consume. So I guess conscious consumption might be a buzzword for what I'm trying to talk about. Cultivating your own taste. Which is a lot of work. It sounds really fun, and it is. But you have to sift through a lot of stuff that you don't like to know what you do like. It's drudgery sometimes, you know? You have to listen to like every genre of music. A lot of stuff from every genre, and it's like you can't just listen to your Spotify algorithm that's showing you more and more of songs that sound the same. Like, you have to listen to stuff that you don't like. Go looking for things that you don't like, because it's the things that you don't like at first that slowly grow on you that are usually the best things. The way to find those things in the first place is to go looking for things that you don't like. And I'm saying contradictory things, like focus on what you really, really like, but also consume a wide variety of things, including things that you think you don't like or that you currently don't like. And maybe listen to a genre that you don't like, and then within those songs that you're listening to, like, what is the best part of that song that you don't like? What's the best lyric in it? What's the best sound? Do you like the hi-hats, the rhythm? Another great source of ideas to tap into is your dreams. I remember my dreams a lot, probably more often than not, especially when I first wake up. And that's the thing, you gotta write them down when you first wake up. You can't put it off. Your phone is right next to you when you're sleeping in bed. I know it's on your nightstand, just like write it down. Second notes app folder is dream journal folder. I almost always feel like I could turn a dream into a song if I wanted to. I don't always want to, but often those dream images are things that work their way into the songs, because it's all sort of subconscious processing, right? And it's dreams, for me at least, are like my subconscious creating images that represent things that have happened to me or things that I have seen or heard and that mean a lot to me emotionally. And that's kind of what I want to put into a song. That's what I want a song to be. So it's like your dreams are already doing the work for you. So I'm gonna go back to that bus anecdote a little bit and talk about how we're blurring the line here a little bit between like idea catching and journaling. I think for me, it helps me a lot to be journaling consistently. I feel like I'm always journaling in one sense or another. I feel like creating art is journaling. If you have a planner, to me that is journaling. If you have a calendar, that's a piece of the journal too. But the main thing that helps me for lyrics is just whenever I feel a strong emotion, I describe the setting that it is currently taking place in. Like, if I was sitting here and crying on the couch, I would like describe the plant and like the texture of the fabric and like the way my shirt feels on my shoulders and all of that. This is actually just like that therapy technique with you. Name 5 things you can see, and it's like that. And it like will help you process your emotions too. So that's an added bonus. All of those specific details of the landscape and the textures and the visuals around you could become a song, could become a verse. Of course, like, surroundings can trigger emotions, right? Can emotions trigger surroundings? I suppose they can, because often we build our own environments. I want to be creating setting. So going back to that Slaughter Beach Dog quote that I pulled up in the beginning, reading a lot is really helpful for writing. What helps me stay engaged with my own reading is highlighting and underlining things that I like, annotating. I like to underline a line if I like it and highlight a line if I don't understand it. So like a lot of my phone reading looks like this. This is like a very silly vampire book I was reading. So if you read the quotes, like, his dirt calls to him. I carefully rehome a few spiders out the window. I underlined that because I like the use of the word rehome. A very light book in terms of books. But I also do that if I have my own book. I like to underline in pencil lines I like, circle things that I don't know, circle words I don't know. You know, it's really awesome to learn new words and put them into songs. And
there's nothing that I love more than hearing a word I've never heard in a song before.
Yeah.
Most new words per song. Yeah. Use one random big word in a song. My word of the week is anachronistic, which I learned when I was reading a paper about experimental music, and it was talking about using cello for like new music scores. I feel like within this process of thinking about things that you like, lines in books that you like, lines in songs that you like, maybe you're annotating on Genius lyrics, annotating things in general, collecting things that you like, writing them down in a notebook, just looking at them all together, letting them sink into the soup of your subconscious. You might find yourself writing things in response to them that seem very similar, and that is a good thing, and it's okay to steal like half of a line. Sometimes if there's a line I really like, I will choose like my favorite like 2 words of it and then write a line, and I will feel like I'm stealing, and I'm like, oh my god, everyone's going to know, but they don't. You know, I really liked there's a Julian Baker song, Sprained Ankle, there's a lyric about like a marathon runner, and then I was writing a song with Bennett, and I wrote the line that's like, you learn from your mistakes, marathon runner, and I was talking to someone and I was like, oh my god, I don't think I can keep that lyric because it's such a ripoff. And of course they pointed out to me that it's like, it's not. You can say the words that the 2 words that you like of a lyric, it's okay. It's not actually stealing in the first place. That also calls to mind the book Steal Like an Artist, which is talked about a lot on here. And then I want to talk about specificity and how important specificity is, and like the universally specific. And I'm gonna cite Phoebe Bridgers and Muna here.
I get roasted constantly for like my specificity.
Yeah.
And that's what that is. That's the like daily note-taking observation. Are the specifics of my song. I feel like if I didn't do the notes app thing, my songs would be pretty like basic.
Well, the specificity is what makes that's
what we're going for. The universal specific.
Exactly.
So the idea is to just take like sensory details and like things that are specific just arbitrarily. Like I challenge you to just be arbitrarily specific. For me at least, that's where I started. Learning how that made me feel, I learned how to be specific in a more intentional way. Let's get to phase 2.
Do it as a dirty tap. When you switch a dirty tap on, it's going to flow water out for a substantial amount of time, and then clean water is going to start flowing, and now and then you'll get but as long as it gets out of you, it's fine. So with songs, you're going to write songs at the beginning.
You've collected all of these ideas in your notebooks, in the phone, in the notes app. You have a bunch of books that you're annotating. You're writing down quotes from the book in your journal, or taking pictures of the library book on your phone. You have a dream journal. You've got all these things in front of you. Now, the process becomes kind of like a collage. In a video I made a little while ago, you can see me do this. I pull out my phone and I'm just scrolling through my like lyric ideas folder, and I'm in the dream journal folder, and I'm just pulling things that fit with a theme. So I started with a theme, and I did kind of sit there and like brainstorm and think of a theme, but when I'm brainstorming about the theme, sometimes I just look in the lyrics folder and then I choose a line I like and I say, okay, everything else is gonna revolve around this centerpiece. I also think about this stage of the process kind of like piecing, which is what you do when you're making the top of a quilt. You're getting all of these pieces that you've presumably collected, scraps of fabric, and stitching them together. Often when I read a line, I feel like I can improvise a melody to the line that sort of follows the consonants of the word.
Most of my songwriting, the words and the vocal melody come first.
I'm gonna look at what I was writing in this notebook many months ago. The line is, where did the time go? And I think to myself, where did the time go? I don't know why, that's just the first thing. It comes very immediately to me. If you struggle with that, I would recommend improvising in a key on an instrument. In the collaging process, it's just about, for me, like riding a wave of intuition. In order to do that, I think speed is very important. I'm not saying like going as fast as possible, but being conscious of the speed at which you work best. I believe for me, there's a critical velocity where if I am not writing fast enough, I am writing at a pace which allows my brain time to judge lines too much and too harshly, and then I don't write anything. So I need in my head sort of a timer, sometimes actually a physical timer. I need to know that I want the song to be written in the next hour, or like that I have 2 hours and I have to go to a thing. I almost always like to write all of the lyrics in one session, and then I might edit later, but I probably am editing like 4 lines at max. And for me, that critical velocity I think is quite fast. Like, I like to try and write as fast as I can. And that's what, for me, has like produced the best results. Of all of the songs I can think of that I've written, my favorite songs that I've written, and also the ones that have like gotten the best feedback from other people, are the ones where I feel like I was holding my breath almost as I was writing it. I can remember times like this happened with Parallels. I can't remember like breathing when I wrote it. I think I like breathed in and I just like wrote it all out. And that's how I remember it. It's probably not the case, but anyway, so when I'm riding the wave of intuition, if sometimes I get into a state where it's just like lines are just coming and I just write them all out, I try to write out the lines that feel even bad in my head. If I'm like, oh, I think of something, I'm like, oh, that's not good, I just write it out anyway. And then that helps me get over the fear of writing down bad lines in the first place. So sometimes I like to write even like 10 verses. Like I have like one of these bigger notebooks, and so I'll write out like 2 pages just like full of lyrics, just like going as fast as I can. If I ever feel like I get stuck or I'm not in that state, then I'm like consistently going back to the idea bank that I've created with the dream journal, with the notes app, all of that, and looking for things that I like. So if I'm writing really slow, which sometimes I do write a lot slower, that process kind of looks like finding one line that I like from the lyric bank, and then like thinking, okay, like what's one line from my dream journal, or maybe a line that someone else wrote from a book that I could rephrase into my own thing that goes with this. And it almost feels like word association. It feels like web weaving. It feels like collaging. Okay, I have this, what goes with it? Like cooking. When I say what goes with it, it doesn't always mean similar things. I think it usually does. But it's cool to contrast opposite things as well, of course. So talking about what I like in general in lyrics, I usually think of textures, temperatures, colors, and recently I really like names. I really like when someone uses like a person's name in a song, or even names of places. I really like all the similes in this song. I think a lot about the sounds of words, like in an alliteration way. And I also like songs that prioritize rhyme above all else, like the Big Thief song Vampire Empire. So that's all I have to say. I hope this has been insightful. I really enjoyed making this video. Making videos like this really helped me collect all of my thoughts and put them in one place, much like songs do. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and leave a comment if this brought anything up for you.